Um, so I'm gonna go through some of my old work and then talk about the new body of work that I have, and then talk about my show from there. Okay, except we're not working, which is really cool. All right. So here's where I start. There is a theory out there that artists create work based off of their first vivid memory. And I don't remember where this came from. It was just kind of told to me in grad school. But for me, my first vivid memory is of my dad gutting a turkey in our yard after he would go hunting. I grew up in northern Michigan, so this is pretty normal. But I was really interested in what was inside the turkey and like the really visceral aspect of that. And specifically with that, I was really interested in a gizzard. So I'm sorry, this is just a little graphic. Bear with me. I know, Marissa, I'm very sorry. Okay, so if you don't know, the gizzard is an organ in the body that helps aid in digestion, and turkeys swallow stones and little pebbles to help with digestion. So 5 years ago, I had to get my gallbladder out, which is a part of the human body that aids in digestion, and I had to get that out because it was full of stones. And on the scale of surgeries, the gallbladder really isn't that bad. But it was kind of the first time that something was happening that I couldn't control, and that was a very different experience for me because it's not like a break or a cut or something that you can physically see. It was happening on the inside. So I'll get rid of that image. So because of this, my work focuses on digestion and ingestion, both physically and mentally. In the physical aspect, I work with materials that are very much like the body. So I'm drawn to clay because it is the most like the body to me. It's very sensual and visceral and a tactile medium to work with. It can bend, it can fold, it can crack, and it can heal itself. So make these forms, and I call them wraps. They're all relatively about the size of a torso. And I see them as very intestinal. And the intestines really amaze me because I don't understand how 20 feet of something can fit in such a small area of the body. And there's a lot of chemical processes that happen within the intestine. So after ceramics, I work with a lot of other materials. This piece is called Stuffed, and it is made out of nylon stockings and pillow stuffing. When you stretch it out, it's about 20 feet long, or the size of the small intestine in a human. So I have a few materials that are reoccurring in my studio, but generally I kind of choose my material based on what I'm trying to manifest. So I work a lot with latex. These are Latex Tongues here. And I like latex a lot because it's very skin-like, and you can do a lot of different things with it. Like it can be cast, it can be painted, it can be used in a lot of different ways, similar to clay. So for this piece specifically, I was thinking about sensory memory and how digestion starts at the tongue. And what I mean by mental digestion and ingestion is taking in comments or reactions about my body, either from myself or from other people. So I have a series of work that are video-based performances and endurance pieces. And I created them to kind of see how much I could handle both physically and mentally. So I had one of my friends kind of cover me in clay and like poke and prod me just to see how long I could go. So here is another image. This is a video still. And if you want to see those are up on my website. This is a hand-drawn animation where I abstracted my body slightly. I didn't include any indication of breasts because I wanted to remove the main indication of a female-born body. So I was kind of questioning my gender in this one. And then here are those pieces together. So a couple years ago, I started creating large installations that combine all the kind of tactile and sculpture work I do with the video work. And I was trying to play around with physical and digital interacting together. And I really enjoyed pairing natural and synthetic materials together. So like clay and plastic tubing, or latex, which is a natural rubber, with nylon, or like a video of my stomach with synthetic fabrics. And I like this because our bodies are really natural. Yeah, we put synthetic things in and on them constantly. And I tend to make pieces that I have something in common with. So a series of these photographs are trying to make connections between my physical self and the things that I make, and see if I can make connections between the two. This piece I made during a 2-month residency in China. Having tattoos, very visible tattoos, was a very interesting experience in China. They were stared at constantly. So that's where this piece came from. So that kind of brings me to my most recent body of work. So I started making these clay rings that fit inside one another and pairing them with different materials. So I have some that are adorned with fake teeth or fake tongues or human hair. So here's another one. And I like using the fake teeth and tongues because they give the work human-like qualities while also being really fake. If you go up close to these pieces, you can tell that the teeth are fake, the tongues are smaller than human tongues, and they're made out of like a stretchy rubber, so you can tell that they're not real. And I do this because I want to question what's real and what's not, but then also have viewers think about the work in relation to their own body. So making work about the body in 2020 has been a really interesting experience. I've been thinking a lot about the dichotomy of the protection and disposabilities of bodies this year, and the distance that we have to put between ourselves and other bodies. So I started creating these pieces, and I have a little army of them in my studio. And I like making these pieces because they all kind of turn out differently. They can take on their own individuality. And so I see these pieces as individuals that are part of a whole. So that brings me to the show that is up right now at KCAC. And when creating the show, I made these white structures for all these ceramic bodies to sit on. And I wanted them to be almost like a shelf or a pedestal that you would see in a gallery, but kind of take on their own shape. So they could maybe be part of the gallery, they could maybe be coming out of the wall, or they could be their own pieces without the ceramic pieces, or they could simply just be a home for the ceramic pieces. So these ones here, they have a piece of chewed gum on the tongue, and gum to me is a really funny substance because it's like food adjacent. It's like food, but not food. And so it's like technically inside the body when it's in the mouth, but then you're supposed to just spit it out and throw it away. So it's an interesting food substance to me. And I also just aesthetically really enjoy how the gum kind of takes on the impression of teeth after it's been chewed. So this tongue here, this has an antidepressant on it. This pill is part of my everyday experience, but I think is also relatable to a lot of us, especially when we think about mental health in 2020. So the goal of this show was to create work where viewers could find a relatable moment within it. We're currently living in a world where bodies are the main focus of our existence, both physically and mentally. So if you haven't seen the show in person yet, it is up until October 30th. But that is pretty much all I have to say. So I would really like to kind of open it up to questions. And I'd rather have a conversation about it than me just lecturing. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing my screen.
Awesome. That was really nice to see your past work and what led you to this work in this show. One of my questions that I had just listening to how you were talking about these items was seeing the difference with these finished shapes that are individuals, and they're so much more solid and like one piece than your other works. How did you make that jump? Because I can really see a difference between the loose coils to this is like a coiled pottery type deal.
Yeah, I wanted them to be more standalone pieces. So they can live together in a space, but they could also serve as a piece on its own. And normally I do like a lot of materials in a small area, more installation based, but for this show, I wanted there to be a lot of distance between the work. That's a good question.
I have a question. So I love the aesthetic and the colors and tones you use, and I was wondering what made you choose those tones and colors throughout, because like internal body could be like bright red or brown or something like that. So I'd love to hear more about that.
With the show specifically, or just kind of throughout my whole work?
Both.
I tend to use colors like in my work in general that are pretty neutral. I kind of gravitate towards like the like tan beigey colors. A lot of that is because if you think about color psychology, we have like a lot of associations with colors, and I like to have like a pretty sterile and neutral space so there's not that color association. And the inside of the body, yeah, can be like pretty like pinky and red, but sometimes it's pretty neutral and just kind of beige. With the show that's up right now, the tongues are tongue color. And then I wanted the structures that they're on to just be really sterile and almost like a white pedestal or a white shelf in a gallery. And there's like gold luster lips on all the pieces, and that is because I was thinking a lot about like adornment, and I guess just like I wanted that to be the focal point and kind of draw your eye in. Just another reason why I put the gold on there.
Cool, thanks. What did you make the structures out of? The white structures?
Yeah, there's a wood base, and then there's spray foam, and then I kind of carved it, put some joint compound on there, and sanded it, and then painted it. It took me forever.
Cool. Well, they look really cool. So
thanks, Anna. Cool.
I had another comment. It was when you mentioned having a relatable moment in the show and walking through it. knowing that the exhibition itself is called Distance, and we're in this 2020 pandemic time, it really made me think about and understand why you chose these 4 different kind of spaces to put your pieces, and that they're so far apart too. Really use the space well, because it is kind of a funky little snap space that we have to work with, but that really stood out to me. Just wanted to mention it. You guys come and see it.
Thanks, Ash. Are there any other questions?
I don't necessarily have a question, but I do have a comment just on what you chose, how you chose to display them. They almost look like little shrines, almost like these little presentations. And I just think they're so interesting, especially these ones that you're kind of seeing on the screen on Ash Anders' phone. They're just like little tiny shrines is the best word I can come up with. And I just think it's kind of humorous. And it's kind of nice I know that there's a deeper conversation to it, but I think it is nice when you first come in to just kind of be caught off guard and have a little chuckle, and then you get to really dig into it, and it makes it really approachable, which I think is a really nice way to encourage people to engage with the art. I've enjoyed it a great deal. It's been fun to have them there and just kind of turn the lights on every day and have a little chuckle.
Thanks. Yeah, that's another reason why I like the tongues, is because they're really funny. They're like fake Halloween tongues that I buy. I don't even make them, but I just like, I don't know. I think I've just spent so much time this year like scared and just scared about everything related to my body that it's like nice to, it's a weird experience making work about the body, but it's also like fun to glue teeth onto things and include fake tongues. Because why not? Yeah.
So I have one, Tara, if we still have a minute. I noticed compared to some of the other work that you showed, this new body of work uses like a black underglaze or some kind of stain. Is that new to this work? And if so, is that wrapped up in 2020 and negotiating this weird year, that use of color?
It is an underglaze, good eye. That's not new in my practice. I just haven't shown any of the work that I've used it on, just because I don't think it's the strongest. The underglaze, I like that it adds dimension to the structures, and it like brings out the fingerprints more and kind of sticks like in between the coils, which is something I really like. And I think the black underglaze for me, I like that it kind of makes the work look a little dirty. And a big part of that is just aesthetics. I really like the black and white and gold together. And then putting like the like dark red tongue on there, I think is just aesthetically really pleasing to me. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, that might be it.
Yeah, so all of this is recorded and we can upload it so other people can watch it as well, but we do have an artist talk that we did with Tara last week, and that's on our Facebook account and YouTube. So that talks just about this body of work in the space itself, and it's a really good one. Check it out. Otherwise, if there's anything else, we can say good evening.
Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.